Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Lou Ferrigno Jr. about Final Frequency. It's going to be available on video on demand August 24th. Thank you for doing this, man. Welcome to the show.
I'm excited to be here. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you. We were talking before. I mean, there's a lot of projects on the go for Lou Ferrigno Jr. You're doing a lot of different projects. How did this project compare to others you've worked on in the past, man?
Final Frequency?
Yeah.
You know, I took Final Frequency because I really like the story. I've always had a fascination with Nikolai Tesla and his life and how he chose to live it and just the events that happened to him. And the producers and Tim, the director, just found a great way to weave those into a very real, I mean, to a degree, but contemporary storyline that I thought was really cool. And I just love the idea of the misfits come together and, just do good and save the planet, which is always good.
Absolutely. There's a lot going on. Like, the characters in this movie are kind of all over the place. There's a lot happening with them. Is that something you noticed when you were reading the script for this as well? Because I feel like complex characters is a big thing now with a lot of these scripts of these like action and sci-fi movies. Like, they're complex characters.
Yeah, they were all very different. And whenever you have different personalities and different actors and different just people that shouldn't necessarily be on the same mission, I tend to play either like superheroes, super cops, super firemen. So there's always those chances to have that fun, awkward interchange that really that's character based. So I thought just given the opportunity, it was going to be a really good time and really fun.
Absolutely. In terms of, the acting and the storytelling, obviously people recognize your name and your last name and everything. But I'm just curious if there was something that drew you towards wanting to do the storytelling, acting and stuff. Like, was there one movie or one show besides maybe the stuff with your dad? Like, I'm just curious if there's something else.
I was so immersed in it. Mean, when I was young, my mom and dad did a show called Super Force. It filmed in Orlando, Florida. And it was essentially this guy that put on this outfit and he was this vigilante type of like modern Batman at the time. It was the early 90s. Mm-hmm. And, I was used to going to these parties and events, and being on set was just kind of daycare for me.
Yeah.
A lot of times. And believe me, I didn't ask for any of this, man. It just happened. And this is the life that I was blessed with. So it was a chance to stay with my parents. And it was like, I think it was at that time I was young and I was going to bed probably like 9:30, something like that. Yeah. And I remember right before I was going to bed, my mom was like, "Oh, I got to go to work." And I was like, "What?" Because everybody went to work in the morning and then they got home in the afternoon and life happened. So then I just thought it was so fantastic and so intriguing that someone goes to work at that time, and my dad would have to be at set at 2 a.m. And I'm like, what? And for some reason that resonated with me. And but I always knew. I did a movie called Cage 2 with my father, a little cameo, because as a very shy child, he asked me to do it, and for some reason I said yes. And in that moment I knew that it was something that I was meant to do and I had to do. And the next 25 years of my life, or at that point probably 15 years of my life, was kind of weeding out everything else to know certainly that this was what I meant to do.
Absolutely. But it's funny because I've talked to a lot of people who, their husband or their wives, they're both like actors, and they're wondering whether their kids are also going to be storytellers, and they're like, if they want to type thing. I always found that interesting as well, right? Where, you were, like you said, you were immersed in it. But was there kind of sometimes a little bit of like maybe I don't want to maybe follow my dad's footsteps and do something else? Or did you always know this is what you want to do? It's tough, right?
Yeah. It was always a question. Are you going to be as big as your dad? Are you going to be an actor like your dad? Are you, so and there was, yes. I mean, as a young man growing up, I think with my father being such an icon worldwide.
Oh,
I mean, everybody
legend.
knows,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
the Hulk.
The one and only. I mean, Mark Ruffalo gets credit for the Hulk, but he's just Bruce Banner, guys. You know, he's done no work to be the Hulk. You know, it's like, take these gym days off. Don't worry.
Absolutely.
So there was always like in terms of, for the sake of sounding corny, my destiny or my purpose. I resisted it for a very long time.
Yeah.
You know, growing up, I was definitely not the theater kid. I was an athlete, and I played all these different sports, played football up to college, and so I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to, but in the back of my mind, I knew it, and those little voices. And finally, when I worked construction, I worked in a catering company, I worked at an ICM, I worked at a talent agency, I worked all these different jobs to kind of know. In the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, cross that one off. That's one more. Acting looks better and better.
Yeah.
So yes, there was a good amount of time in my life that I resisted it, but I think life is just really a journey to find what works and know what doesn't work for you.
Absolutely. Getting back to Final Frequency, I mean, some of my favorite, like, you can relate this to music as well. There's a lot of genre bending happening in popular culture right now, where I don't think there are certain movies or certain shows that you can't really identify as like one specific genre. Could we make an argument that this is the case with Final Frequency? Like, there is a lot of different things happening in it. There's some drama, there's some action, there's thriller. Like, it is kind of genre bending, no?
It definitely is. I mean, what would you put? What genre would you put it in?
Probably like action, thriller, suspense. I don't know. I always thought suspense and thriller were like the same thing, to be honest with you, right? Like,
yeah. Where does action adventure meet action thriller? Because I would think adventure. It would be more like
adventure. Yeah.
Action adventure, like National Treasure.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I associate the thriller and suspense with like. I mean, there wasn't much of a daunting murderer stalking us.
No, but there was a little bit of like just from the treasure, like even like you look at like National Treasure, like those movies, right? I wouldn't say they're thriller suspense, but there's some of those like, oh snap moments, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just how like
some of the things on SWAT too, like some of the stuff you do on SWAT, although it's like crime and everything, and it's like, OMG, like this guy's messed up. Like what's happening right now?
True. Very good point. I think, I mean, just as like you can have a drama that has comedic moments, but it not be a comedy. I think just drama, and just like in a drama or in a comedy, like you have moments of grounded drama. So it's like they kind of interweave. But I would say action adventure.
Yep.
It's just a lot of fun. I don't think it would be necessarily a kids movie,
No.
but it definitely plays, with the LARPing and stuff like that. Like it's definitely like there's some levity to it, which is cool. It's not like the world is, it's not one of those like, oh my God, Contagion, like could this happen? And the world, like this is really going to happen. It's, it was fun, but it was just a wild ride.
And in terms of takeaways, that's what, like, in terms of what you hope they get of it when they get a chance to watch it, because it's available on VOD on the it's available like it was available the 24th, so it's out now, so they can check it out.
It's in theaters as well.
And theaters as well. But like, what like is that basically what the takeaways is? Basically, like you hope they just have a good time and it's a wild ride. Like it's simple as that, right?
Yeah, I think with any film and with any story, you want the audience to come away feeling as if they'd been through something.
Yep.
If you walk in and walk out and feel the exact same way, then it's not a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm watching anything, whether the thoughts of the actor or things don't coincide, I mean, I don't want to watch it. Therefore, other people would watch it, and it wouldn't really be making the rounds that it is right now. So it bodes well for the actual film. So
you obviously go where the opportunities are in terms of when you're acting and storytelling, but it's pretty cool to look at a lot of the most recent projects you've done, like, SWAT, Stargirl, Dreamcatcher, a horror film, this film. I mean, it's pretty cool that you're able to work a bunch of different things and a bunch of different genres and different characters, right? Have you ever thought about that? Like, that's a pretty cool thing too.
Well, thanks, Pete.
No problem.
I appreciate it. That's very kind of you to say. I mean, I just love the idea of. I've always loved film. I've always loved even to this day when I watch a movie. Yeah. Like I've come to grips and I've who I am. Like I don't know what's going on in the first 20, 30 minutes because I am so in tune with the moments and the actors and the thoughts, and are they believable?
Yeah.
So it's wild that this is even a profession where we get to embody these human beings.
You play
in this
pretend for a
story.
living. That's what you do.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like I just can't believe it sometimes. I'm just so in awe of all of it. But I've worked hard to really round off my shortcomings as an actor, and where I don't really do as proficiently or hadn't until I really like sought out ways to just be as good as I can. I mean, I played football for a very long time, and like it's a very specialized sport, and you need to do what works for you, but also you'll be assigned based on your strengths to what position.
Yeah.
And so I try to cover. I'm very realistic though. I'm not going to play the nerdy scientist, because that just like it just doesn't work for me. And if I could and it'd be believable, I wouldn't shy away from any part. But there's a certain realism that people put you into in their own minds.
And to go into more detail about those roles, I mean, you had a chance to play Hourman in Stargirl on the CW, part of the DC universe. I mean, that's really cool, and that's a really awesome role. And, you're obviously familiar with the comic book and superhero landscape, but that's really cool that you were able to jump into that role.
I mean, I was a big Marvel guy. DC, I never really got a real grasp on it, because I thought like they just kind of hit it out of the park with Superman, and he's like, they overdid it, like he's so super. And then Batman took it in a way where they were just riding Batman home to the finish for the last 20 years. So when I booked this role, I didn't even know who it was until right before they announced it. So because I auditioned for a character named Arthur Matlock for a show called Stargirl. I didn't know what Stargirl was. I didn't know who Arthur Matlock was. I was Googling Arthur Matlock.
That happens a lot too, right? Where you don't know much about it, right? That's a common thing, right, Lou?
Yeah, they don't, for good reason. I mean, when I looked further into the character, when I found out it was Hourman, I was like, oh damn, there's a lot of history here. It's a character that's been around. It's a property that's actually been in existence for a long time. That was a foundational part of DC at the time. So that was a surprise, and that was really cool. And that he's like a legit superhero, not just like, it was funny in Suicide Squad when it's like, you just throw polka dots? And he's like, yeah. And it's like, he's like a legitimate, he has these cool powers. But yeah, I mean, when it happened, I was over the moon. I would love to do more work as Hourman and Max Tyler, because I think there's a great story to be told. But Stargirl's doing pretty well right now, so I'm happy for everyone.
Absolutely. Lou, I wanted to thank you so much for your time to chat about Final Frequency and some other stuff too. It really means a lot. I'm glad we're finally able to do this, man.
Yes. Well, Pete, now I know you, so whenever you want me to come on, just let me know, and we'll get back to it.
Absolutely. So the movie's available, video on demand. You can check that out. Final Frequency. And where do people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
At Lou Ferrigno Jr. On most platforms, and so slide into those DMs, say what up. I love all my fans and all my potential friends. So, and you too, Pete.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some stuff that they could recognize you in. You mentioned like Hourman, Stargirl, Dreamcatcher feels like it's been out for a while, but that's a horror film with Nikki Cost that you did as well. There's a lot of stuff. SWAT, of course. Like there's a lot. Lou Ferrigno's around. Junior's around. Yeah.
I got a couple leads that are coming out soon. So stay tuned. It's going to be fun.
Amazing. This has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Lou Ferrigno Jr. and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.